What's up, guys? Lore here, and today on tap we're taking a look at AirMech. This is a game being developed by a studio called Carbon Games. They're actually an indie studio, so that's pretty cool. Same group of people that made the game Fat Princess, if you ever saw that. It was this really weird, like, strategy sort of... I don't even know how to describe it. It was, you had to like feed your opponent's princess so that she was fat, so she... I don't know. It was a weird game. It was on the PlayStation Network. And eventually on the PSP as well. But enough about Fat Princess, let's talk about AirMech. It's a free-to-play. It's a bit difficult to describe. I guess the best way I could describe it would be that it's a free-to-play, action-based, real-time strategy, top-down shooter MOBA. Like, really, there's a lot going on here. Think of your favorite video game. There's probably some element of that game in this thing. Side note, before I go any further, I just want to make sure everyone is aware, I am really bad at this game, okay? I'm still trying to wrap my head around it completely. There is, like I said, there is a lot going on in this game. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like, this thing I've been carrying around all over the place. It's called a moneymaker. It's a bit... I'm going to talk about the RTS elements, but it relates to the RTS elements of the game a little bit. And I built way too many of them at the start. So, yeah, I just kind of screwed this game up from the beginning. But whatever, it ended up working out in the end. So, let's talk about some of the elements of the actual game. Let's talk about the shooter gameplay to start with. The elements of the game that, they're very, very reminiscent of a top-down shooter. So, you have your AirMech unit. That's the thing that I'm controlling around on the screen. That's the only thing that you actually directly control. Everything else that goes on is just a result of how you interact with it, with your AirMech. Other than that, you're just flying around your AirMech and doing stuff with that. And it controls a lot, like I said, like a top-down shooter. It's very, very reminiscent of... kind of like a twin-stick shooter, except obviously you're using a mouse and keyboard. You can actually use a gamepad with this. In fact, I'm looking into getting one of those relatively soon just to give it a try, because it seems like a game that would be a lot of fun to play with a gamepad. But for the moment, I've just been using the mouse and keyboard to move around. So you use WASD to actually fly around, and you use your mouse cursor. You can see when I point in a direction, and you point your mouse cursor in a direction, and you click, and that's how you fire in that direction. And you have like a couple different abilities you can get. You have a primary fire and a secondary fire most of the time. It depends on the different AirMechs you can get. I'm going to talk about that more in just a minute. But yeah, very, very much like a top-down shooter. You can also transform. You've seen me do it a few times here now. You can transform between an air mode and a ground mode. And that adds like this extra little bit of cool gameplay to it, where you're sort of flying around over top of things. Like right now I'm kind of flying around over top of everything, not really doing anything super important there, just sort of picking things up and putting them back down. But when these things come in and attack on the ground forces, I'm actually able to switch into a ground mode to help clean them up a little bit. So that's kind of cool. You can only attack, with the exception of the missile attack that I have on this particular AirMech, you can only attack air things if you're in the air, and you can only attack ground things if you're in the ground. So there is that little bit of having to switch back and forth between the two different styles of moving around. So it just feels pretty cool. Let's talk about the RTS elements a little bit. It does kind of have like a really, really heavy RTS influence in this game. You earn money by having bases. You can place these money makers, which again, that was the thing I was carrying around for like the first half of the game here. You have these money makers. You put them down. There's a couple more of them sitting right here. Once we take over, we didn't actually manage to take over that base. But you put them down on these special pads that when you take over a base, it earns you extra money. So it's kind of a similar concept to the economy that you have in a real-time strategy game like StarCraft, where you spend money in order to be able to make more money. You capture bases to earn even more money, so you can actually take over these different bases. You've seen me fighting over this base in the middle here quite a bit already. You capture the bases to be able to earn extra money, and then if it has those extra pads on it, you can actually place that down in order to... nice little fight going on there. In order to be able to earn even more money. And you can't control your units directly, but you can move them around. Like, you've been seeing me pick things up, like right there. I pick up a sort of a rocket launcher unit, and then I just set it down on the ground so that it can do stuff. I'm going to land on the ground here, and I believe in a moment I'm going to... I've been training units. Okay, so that's that screen you've seen popping up. is me finding, I'm actually creating units. There's a queue in terms of how many units you can actually have building at a time. Oh, that guy's just barely gonna get away. Yeah, he just barely got over there in time to actually repair. When you're flying over top of one of these things at one of your bases, it actually repairs you too, so that's important to know. And there, they've just taken over our base, so we're not going to be able to use that anymore until I am able to recapture it. So I'm going to have to get out of there and work on that a little bit. But yeah, you don't control any units directly. You pick them up, and you can issue them orders while you're carrying them when you set them down on the ground. But that's pretty much it. You pick up units, you set them down elsewhere, you move them around that way, not by actually commanding them to move in specific directions like you would in a RTS title like StarCraft. Now, there's also a very, very heavy MOBA influence here. So like a game like League of Legends or something. It's kind of crazy. Like, there's already a ton going on, and they managed to pile MOBA in on top of the list as well. So there's lots of different AirMechs you can actually choose from. They work a lot like champions or heroes or whatever you want to call them in a MOBA title. They all have different abilities. Like the helicopter I'm using here has a missile attack that you've seen me use a couple times that not a lot of, in fact, I don't think any of the other AirMechs actually have that. There's another AirMech that's like a fighter jet that you can get. I believe it actually comes default. And it works kind of like a Gundam almost, where you can get on a... Ooh, I just barely got that guy. Where you can pull out a sword and a shield and run around and like beat things up with that. That's kind of cool too. Whole bunch, like there's a stealth bomber you can see there that's on my team. Lots of different AirMechs you can actually get, so lots of variety there, so that's pretty cool to see. Your AirMech levels up, so you can see I'm level 5 right now, and every so often I've been buying new abilities as I'm leveling up. There I'm training units. But in the upper left corner you can see where I have my different abilities, and there, you can level those up in any order that you choose. They go up to a maximum level of 3, there's another nice kill there. And a maximum level of 3 on any of those abilities, and you just kind of, it's just, those abilities, again, they're unique to each AirMech, so that's pretty cool. There is an extra thing you can get, or a couple of those abilities, I should say, aren't all unique. There's like leveling up your infantry to be stronger, and there's a thing called Guardian slots, which I've barely even messed with so far. I don't know how useful that is, so I'm not going to talk about that much. But for the most part, the different abilities that you can level up are unique to each AirMech. You earn money and XP, like there you saw I killed that guy. You earn money and XP for just generally doing stuff, like placing units. You can see the little yellow numbers popping up all the time. When I'm placing units, I'm getting 15 XP. When I'm killing enemy units, like there, I'm getting 20 XP for killing these guys. Killing an opponent AirMech gets you a whole big chunk of XP, so you level up that way. And the other little MOBA aspect that they've added here is that the bases actually spawn creeps, kind of like the creep waves that you would get in like League of Legends or whatever, that walk from your nexus to the other team's, oh, bit of lag there, to the other team's base. The bases that you own actually spawn creeps, and the creeps that are running along the ground, the infantry, you've seen me train a few of them, and there's some of them that have just spawned naturally. Those are actually how you take over bases. So, in a moment here, I believe I'm going to try and take over another base. There's a lot of base capturing left and right that goes on through this whole game, pretty non-stop. So there now, I'm picking up these couple infantry, and I'm going to drop them down here on the bottom. And as they get in there, once you've gotten 4 of your infantry to enter a base, well, actually, let me explain it a little bit more directly. You can see there's several lights on top of each of these bases. Like there's 4 blue lights that you can see. If I get to another base in a moment, I'll point out where there's like a red light or something. But basically, when an infantry walks into, okay, here, maybe we'll get a good example here. As the infantry walk in there, you can see the lights on the top of that base there. We're turning from red to blue. When all 4 of those lights turn blue, we'll have taken over that base, and it will be under our control. And I believe I should be able to finish that off right there. I'm going to fly away before it actually happens, but it did actually. We were actually able to take it over. They can turn either way, as long, like there I just dropped an infantry because I saw there was 1 red light at that base, so I want to turn that red light back to blue. But once all 4 of them change, that's how you capture bases, is by getting infantry inside to change those lights on top of the bases. So the little creep waves that spawn naturally will, if you don't necessarily have to be training infantry in order to be able to take things over. It does make it a lot faster, but you can just focus on clearing the road for the natural spawning creep waves that actually spawn in, so that you can, they can just walk over to the place and be able to take it over. Should be able to get another base captured there. Yeah, there we go. There's a perfect example of how that works. And also a good example of me picking things up to repair them. I'm picking up that guy to repair him as he takes damage, so he's able to do more damage overall. There's also a population cap. Like you saw there, I opened up the build window, but everything was grayed out. I've got 26,000 money at the moment. I've got plenty of money to be able to build things. The problem was just that I was at population cap. So again, like in RTS, there's only so many units that you can have out at a specific time. So really, like I said, there's a whole lot going on in this game at one particular time. Like, I've barely even been able to comment on what's going on in this particular match. And it's already been going for a good 10 minutes, like just trying to explain all of the basics of how the game works. Like I said, very, very complicated. One of the nicest things about it, though, is that it's not complicated to the point of being unplayable. And it's not complicated to the point that it's not fun if you don't understand what's going on. Like I said earlier, I'm still trying to figure out how to even play this game. I am probably doing 8,000 wrong things in this game right here that you guys are watching right now, and I don't even know it because I just haven't spent enough time with it yet to get into all the intricacies. But I'm still having a ton of fun actually playing it. Like, the way things are spaced out. By the way, I just picked up a Goliath tank. It's a special tank that you can only build once you reach level 7 in-game. It costs a lot of money, and it makes me ridiculously super slow to move around. But they're an extremely, extremely potent unit to have out on the field. But anyway, the nice thing about how the game is set up is that you kind of don't have to think about every single little thing all at the same time. I can be focused on building units 1 minute and then just forget about building units for a little while and go worry about, okay, we need to take out this guy over here, I need to kill that guy, or I need to scout around on this side of the map and figure out what's going on, or I need to clear out this bunch of units that's coming in to attack our base. And then after I'm done with that, I can go back to thinking about building units again. That probably won't be the case at like extremely super high levels of play, but there's such a gap in terms of like the average player is not playing at that level regardless. So there's plenty of room. There's an extremely high skill cap to the game, which is nice to see, and there's plenty of room to be kind of just okay and take the game kind of casually and just focus on having fun. Right there's a good example of me issuing a unit or an order to that unit as I drop it. I told it to attack when I dropped it instead of hold still, which is the default, which means that now he's going to roll off and go fight something somewhere, so that's cool. I'm going to build another Goliath and fight this guy off. So I think showing how much that guy just completely and totally died, this is probably a good time to point out that this match is against bots. This is a PvE match. In here, I'm playing with other real players, Douster and Jupiter 4v511. Those are other real players, but Natasha, Hawk, and Kira, those are all bots. There is a really, really good PvP mode, like 3v3 PvP, that does exist, and it's really good, and I've had a lot of fun with it. The problem is I tend to get completely and totally dominated because, like I said earlier, I'm still trying to figure out how this match works. So for the time being, and especially for this video, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to stick to PvE matches for a little while. We'll play against computers until I can get a better handle on how the game actually works. And, excuse me, then we'll jump into PvP from there. So there is PvP, and it's really, really good. I've been watching some matches on YouTube of people playing it, and it looks like a ton of fun. And just from the basic experience that I've had with the game so far, it feels like a ton of fun. But I'm just not at a level of play where I'm able to really do that without feeling like a hindrance to the rest of my team at this point. So yeah, very, very fun game. Lots of stuff going on. Apparently I'm lagging at this point, but okay, yeah, got over it. That's cool. And you can see, it's kind of interesting to note how all of the different stuff plays together. Like right now, I'm trying to get my... Okay, apparently now I'm trying to fight this guy. And we can take him out there really easily. Yep, there goes the bots just not being very smart again. Right now, I'm trying to set something up so that we can start making a push at the enemy's main base. I suppose this would be a good thing to explain at some point. The way you win a match is by destroying your enemy's main base. Unfortunately, it's relatively easy to defend it. So you have to, much like in a RTS game, you have to be able to build up a strong enough army and be able to start dropping that army at your opponent's base. So I've been building a whole bunch of those Goliath tanks, as you've been seeing, and I'm also trying to take over these closer bases so we can have a closer staging area to actually build the units from and send them out to. don't think I'm quite going to be able to take that over there. No, it looks like one of my units died too early, so he wasn't able to get in. And then you could see there the enemy infantry was turning my blue lights back to red on that particular structure. But yeah, you could theoretically, and in fact in one bot game I played earlier, some guy found like a spot that the AI just didn't know about and was like sitting behind the enemy's base just shooting them the entire time. You can theoretically win the game extremely quickly just by rushing over to their base if they haven't defended it. Fortunately, much like in a real-time strategy title like StarCraft, people know that, okay, we need to defend our base, we need to get some defenses up early on. It does actually give you a period of time right at the start where you're not able to leave an area around your base also. So that gives you, it kind of forces you into understanding, okay, right away I should be building some defenses, which is nice because it means that you have less people who you bump into just in random gameplay who have no idea what they should be doing at the start and they immediately rush off and try to kill the opponent's base. But anyway, the goal and the way to win the game is to kill the enemy's main fortress. If you look at the top, you can see well, there's a lot of things going on the top, but the two large, there's a red bar and there's a blue bar, and you can see the red bar is kind of about halfway and the blue bar is most of the way. Those are the health of the individual fortresses, the blue fortress being ours, or the blue bar being our fortress, and the red bar being the enemy fortress. Once that's killed, it doesn't matter how many other bases are on the map, how many other bases they own versus how many other bases we own. It doesn't matter at all. So you may notice, if you've been watching the minimap, the little red dots all over the place. Those, unless it's something that's very, very close to something that we can see, the fog of war doesn't really display itself very clearly on the minimap. It's one minor complaint that I have about the game. But for the most part, the red dots around the map, you can see that we're starting to lose a lot of our outside bases, which is fine for us at the moment because we're really starting to gear up for a heavy push at their actual base. See, I'm going to come over here now. I've got these couple of Goliath tanks sitting over there. I'm going to pick them up real quick just so that I can issue them a new order to go in and attack. They're going to head in there and start doing some damage. I'm going to build a... we've actually lost that base, so I'm going to try and find another place to pick this up. But I'm going to build a repair unit for them to hopefully give them a little bit longer lifetime over there so they can do some damage. And yeah, here we are going in there, and I'm going to start trying to fight along with them, do as much damage as I can. The repair unit actually gets taken out like right away, so that was unfortunate. But I'm going to land, and I'm going to start shooting at this guy and try and take him out. And I think my tanks are about to die as well, but we did a ton of damage in the meantime. You can look at the red bar on the top there. They're now almost dead. So I'm going to gear myself up for one last push, and I believe a couple of my teammates are about to do the same thing as well. We've got them on the ropes at this point. We're about to finish them off. I'm going to just go ahead and clear this out here and pick up my infantry. So yeah, really, really fun game to play. It's kind of ridiculous how there's so much going on, but not to the point of being unplayable, or not to the point of just there's way too much going on for me to actually be able to understand what I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to build one more tank. You can see we've done a little bit more damage to their building in the meantime. These guys are going to come up here and get themselves killed, which to me means it's about time to strike. We've just taken out two of them. There is a respawn period when you die. It doesn't last as long as in a game like League of Legends, but if your AirMech gets destroyed, there is a short period of time where you have to wait to respawn. By the way, you can notice I'm actually moving a lot faster while carrying around the Goliath tank than I was earlier. That's because one of the abilities that the helicopter AirMech has... Oh, and there we win. One of the abilities that the helicopter AirMech has is to move faster once you've actually picked up something. You get something that lowers the movement penalty when you pick up units. So that's how that match went. Again, really, really fun game. There's a whole bunch of statistics here, and I don't actually know what most of them mean. I'm earning karma, I'm earning XP, I've leveled up to level 6 from this, so lots of cool stuff happening there. I'm going to jump over into the out-of-game side of things and poke around the interface a little bit, because there's a lot more that I need to show you about how this game actually works, especially in regards to the free-to-play model. So I'm going to jump over to that, And here we are. This is the out-of-game interface for AirMech. Lots of stuff going on here. Let's start by looking a little bit at some of these options. So this is my particular progress. This is kind of cool. You have different quests that you can actually complete. These are kind of like achievements, but with an actual reward. You get karma for it. Karma is your free-to-play currency in this game. They're using a very similar model to League of Legends, to Smite, and to a lot of other games that are sort of emulating that model right now. It's been extremely successful for Riot, so it makes a whole lot of sense that other companies are going to be going after that same model. So if you look on the top here, I have Karma, which is my free-to-play currency, and I have Diamonds. I have 0 diamonds at the moment. That is the premium currency in this game. So looking at the quests, again, they're kind of like achievements, but with actual rewards. So, for example here, destroy 20 tanks with your AirMech in a single match, online or offline. If I kill 20 tanks in one match with my AirMech, I get an extra reward of 30 karma. Not a ton, but still, it's just a cool little extra thing to do. It's like achievements, but with actual rewards for it. So that's fun. I can look at my stats here. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of stats to actually look at. AirMech's lost total, I've died 25 times. 19 of those was in ground mode. So apparently that means I need to spend less time in ground mode because I'm bad at it. But cool little stats here. Just meaningless stuff, but still like 167,000 total damage done with an AirMech. That's okay. I guess that's a number that I like to know, but you know, it's fun stuff to actually see. The referral system. Okay, this is important because if you guys want to try this game, I need you to click on the link in the YouTube description because that will be my referral link and I would like to get stuff. But it's kind of neat that they've included this directly in fact, it's actually brilliant that they've included this directly in the actual client itself because it gets assholes like me to say things like, hey, make sure you use my referral link to sign up for this game because I'd like to get stuff. You can see the first several rewards are pretty basic. It's just extra karma rewards. It does eventually get into gem rewards, which is pretty cool to see. And this is fun down here. This is stuff that's kind of like what Riot did with their original refer a friend system. They're not doing this anymore, but where it actually will allow you, if you have made enough or gotten enough referrals, it actually allows you to do some neat stuff, designing things with the dev team, custom AirMech pilot, and so on. I'm going to show you an example of that in just a minute because it's pretty awesome. So yeah, definitely make sure you use my referral link if you try to check out this game because I think it'd be really, really cool to make an AirMech pilot. Honestly, that just sounds like a lot of fun to me. The social stuff is not completed yet. It says up here, work in progress. Remember, this is a beta still, but it is kind of just a little thing in here that links you directly to some of their stuff. Quick play is pretty basic. It's just a quick way to queue up for anything. You got 3v3 player versus player, 1 versus 1 computer, 1 player survival mode. There actually is a survival mode in this map, which is mostly just there's a set number of waves, and you have to live through all of them in order to succeed. If you go into play, though, there is actually a full server browser. You can see there's not a lot of people playing at the moment. I can create a game. Or if I come back in here, they actually do have a spectator mode. I'm not sure if it's completely working at the moment. I haven't been able to get it to work myself, but I may also just not be completely familiar with how it's supposed to work. I've been trying to like click the spectate button. I'm not going to mess with it right now, but I've been trying to click the spectate button and it just wouldn't come up and work properly. Now, let's look over here. Let's look at my army. This is where the customization starts to get pretty intense. So all of these things here are things that I can build in the field. That menu I was bringing up during the actual game to be able to build stuff, you can set what those are here. So I'm able to come in here and say, okay, well, I don't necessarily need infantry, for example. Maybe I'm not so excited about infantry. I can come in here and look at some other stuff. Maybe I want to put this medium armor turret mounted cannon instead. I actually want to keep the infantry personally, but yeah. You can also look at the ones that you haven't unlocked yet. For example, I can look at this guy and see, oh, okay. I can unlock him with 1200 kudos. I believe I was calling it karma earlier by mistake. Apologies for that. It's actually kudos. I can unlock it with, and this is what's kind of interesting about this. I can unlock things with real money or with diamonds. But the diamonds cost, okay, aside from being kind of obnoxious, I hate when companies do this. It's not a direct one-to-one correlation, so it's kind of, you have to like break out a calculator to actually keep track of how much diamonds is worth how much money. But it costs about $1, it's 99 cents, to get 180 diamonds. So if I pull up my calculator here real quick, because I'm really bad at math, I do 270, we divide that by 180. Oh, lo and behold, that would be 1.5, meaning it's the exact same price in diamonds as it is with currency. So I actually have no idea why you would ever buy diamonds in this game, because I have not yet found anything that you can only unlock with diamonds. It seems like everything that you can unlock with diamonds also has the option to unlock with just currency. I'm not sure what the point of the diamonds is in that case. But that's cool. You can also see some of these have this little star next to them. These are on free trial, so they're using a very similar system to League of Legends with their free week champions and so on. Applies to everything in this game. There's the free trial, different things you can build. If I look at stuff like, for example, I can come in here and look at my AirMech. There's a whole bunch of different AirMechs in here. The chopper, which I've been using, is currently on free trial. There's also this other sort of fighter jet that's available on free trial. And then the bomber is not currently available on free trial, but I could spend $3 or the equivalent amount of diamonds to be able to unlock it. So that's kind of cool. There are also, I guess it's important to point out too, that these things all have, this one's actually on free trial as well. I actually thought that this one was available by default, but maybe not. But anyway, it's also interesting to note that a lot of these have custom skins. So like, here's the chopper I was flying earlier. You guys saw a whole bunch of that. Or I could get this custom skin for $5 or 900 diamonds, which equals $5. Or I can get this one over here and get this cool looking like shark design on it. It's kind of neat if you have a, it's just basically like heroes in League of Legends or champions in League of Legends, where if you have it's completely and totally cosmetic, you don't get anything else for it. But if you have an AirMech that you particularly like, then you can buy a custom skin for it. There's even like UFOs, like crazy looking UFOs and stuff. There's this A10 looking thing, which I actually really want to try just because it looks awesome. And there's like a very, they call it a support class AirMech. It can actually repair things out in the field, so that's super awesome if you like doing a more units focused style of play. Personally, I like to be a little bit more aggressive with my actual AirMech and just go back to build up units when I have money to spend. But yeah, lots of cool customization there in terms of the actual mechs you can get. You can also get your pilot. So this is interesting. You have different pilots that you can actually equip, kind of just like different gear. You have different pilots that you can equip, and they all have different stats. So like, for example, Ashe here, which, by the way, that's completely and totally confusing because I'm used to Ashe being a long-haired girl in League of Legends, and so now it's a bald man in this game. Bit weird, but you can see he's got these stats here: 50% missile targeting, 30% recharge rate, 15% fuel efficiency, but a lower build speed. And the one that I've been using, Natasha, she's considered a great pilot for beginners, which is why I selected her, because I kind of know that I'm bad at this game. Extra fuel efficiency, this is cool. Extra XP bonus, extra credits earned. So you can actually earn money, and that's in-game XP. You can earn money and in-game XP a lot faster with her, but she has a max build queue of 3. Normally the max build queue is 5. Considering I'm still very new at the game, that's not as big of a problem for me. It's also items, which just do kind of extra stuff as well. There's kind of Higgs boson, apparently, is something that you can get that would give me a plus 5% AirMech carry mass and minus 3 credits earned in game. Can get a canned meat product. So these are 5% chance of food poisoning. Alright. So these are just silly little extra things that you can do. I got plus 5% style on this. I don't think style actually means anything, but it does increase my unit cap by 2% on top of that. Or the waist pouch here, minus 10% style, but plus 2% credits earned in-game. Silly little extra stuff, very, very minor extra bonuses, but still nice to have regardless. And then you can get cosmetic items as well. I've seen people with like little awards and stuff flying around beside them. You can also buy these with currency if you want. But those are totally cosmetic. You may also note we have a separate setup. You have different loadouts that you can choose between, so you can actually set up different loadouts to be able swap between on the fly, which is super handy if you get seriously into the game and you're like, I imagine once I get to the point where I can understand things more, like, okay, only one person on the team really needs to have money makers because they can just put out money makers everywhere and then everyone else can reap the benefits from that. So maybe I'll switch to my different loadout that is focused on more damage or something like that without having to go in and adjust my individual loadouts for each individual game. There's also separate ones for PvP and PvE, which is a really, really nice touch, I think. Generally speaking, when you're playing against bots, your priorities are going to be a lot different. In a bot match, I might be a little bit more concerned about just doing as much damage as I can to get it over with as quickly as possible, because I'm probably not going to lose. Whereas in a PvP match, maybe I want to be a little bit more focused on defenses. Now, obviously, I'm not at a skill level of this game yet where I really understand the differences I need to make there, but that's definitely something that seems like it would be super handy in that regard. So again, tons of out-of-game customization here, and it does seem to follow a very, very similar model to League of Legends. And I'd like to point out on top of that that kudos are actually really, really easy to earn as long as you're actually playing the game. They're pretty easy to actually earn. I've already managed to buy a few things. Like I had to buy the pilot, I had to buy this item over here, and there were a couple of other things I bought. The moneymaker was another thing that I bought already. And these are things that cost like 1,200 kudos for one of these things. I don't know that I would actually want that, but again, basically just pointing out that kudos it's good to have. It's not terribly hard to come by either, so you can unlock these things relatively easily. Let's head back out again here real quick. Let's look at the store for a second. They have a couple of bundles in here. There's the beta bundle, gets you a whole bunch of stuff, like just a whole bunch of stuff for 20 bucks. Gets you things like a XP boost, kudos boost, and so on. Seems interesting to me. I don't know that I would actually pick that up. I kind of had this general philosophy of not buying upfront bundles like this until I've spent a long time with the game. But I may actually look into this if I continue to spend a whole lot of time with AirMech and enjoying it quite a bit. They also have this starter pack, which actually seems like an amazing deal to me. It gets you 9,001 diamonds. So if I were to pull out my calculator again, because again, I'm bad at math and I don't want to get this wrong. If we do 9,001, divide that by 180, that is, as it says right there, $50 worth of currency. It's actually slightly over $50. It's like $50.01 worth of gems, worth of diamonds, and you get it for 10 bucks. So that seems like a pretty awesome deal that I will almost definitely be taking part of myself. That's a ton. Plus it gets you the silver VIP status. I'm not sure what all that does for you, other than it gives you a constant, like permanent plus 10% kudos award. And there was also like a quest that I saw, a couple of quests in there that I saw that you could only redeem if you had silver VIP status. So that definitely seems like very much something worthwhile. There's also boosts you can get. This is pretty much exactly what you would expect. Like XP boost here. Again, that's a little over $1. It's about $1.10 if I remember correctly for a 20 win XP boost. Really basic prices here. I haven't been a huge fan of purchasing boosts in the past. It's not something that I've really ever done much of. I prefer to just play more to catch up, but they are available there if those are the sort of things you can be interested in. And let's look at the diamonds here. Again, 180. I've been referencing this number a few times. $1 gets you 180 diamonds, and there are bonuses if you buy them in larger chunks. And there would be the $50 chunk. Normally it ends up, they give you a 1,500 bonus, so it ends up being 10,500 gems. Diamonds, excuse me, I keep using the wrong terms for these things. But yeah, there you go. That's how that works. There's also this codes thing here. Basically, like if you have a code or something, a referral code, that's my referral code if you want to use it. And again, there will be a link in the description. And in fact, I was referred by Husky Starcraft. And actually, that reminds me, I wanted to show you guys, where is it? I wanted to show you guys his pilot. This is the pilot. I actually I can't look at him at the moment. Once I get level 10, I'll be able to get access to him. But that's the pilot that Husky Starcraft made with the developers. He actually was able to get 500 referrals over level 10, and so they delivered, and they made a pilot with him, and they made it look like a Husky. So that's pretty awesome. Anything else I particularly need to mention here? The settings are about what you would expect. A whole bunch of gameplay options. Video options, we'll look at them just for a second. Nothing too major in here, although I do want to point out that the full screen mode is actually a windowed full screen mode, which I found particularly awesome. I was a little bit worried about it at first when I was poking around in the menu here, and I was like, oh, it doesn't have a full screen windowed mode, but that's actually the default, is windowed mode in full screen, so that's cool. Audio options, pretty much exactly what you expect. Controls can all be rebound, so that's good. And then it actually has multiple language packs. It's in its beta support. They kind of, I believe they used Google Translate for a whole bunch of these, but still, that's pretty cool to actually see. So yeah, this is a game I have been enjoying the heck out of this game. You guys should definitely check it out as well. And I'm not just saying that because of the referral link. I actually think this game needs to be getting a lot more attention than it has been. There's only a couple people really paying any attention to this game right now, and it just feels really good. It's just a lot of fun to play. So I wanted to be sure to show that off to you guys. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you later.